I want to speak to you as if you were here in my clinic, with me, in the quiet of the evening. I sit across from you, and I speak slowly, deliberately, and with real concern in my voice, because what I have learned chills me to the bone, and I must share it. I am a doctor who cares deeply about the brain, and especially about the well-being of our seniors who have lived long lives and rich stories, and who deserve to keep dreaming freely without fear creeping in through their sleep. I discovered something recently about a sleeping position and the risk of stroke that struck me like lightning. I felt it in my bones. I studied the research, I pored over the medical literature, and I saw with my own eyes the implications. I cannot remain quiet. You need to know. You have lived through decades of change and faced challenges that would break many. You know the tenderness of life and how every morning is precious. You have memories that dance in your mind, and I speak to you as a concerned physician who knows your mind is your most treasured friend. When you close your eyes each night, I want you to rest without a shadow riding alongside your dreams. But I found a sleeping position that may raise your risk of stroke overnight, and that knowledge weighs on me. I speak plainly. I want it to land with all the gravity it demands. A study published in a respected medical journal observed older adults and their sleep positions and tracked incidents of stroke over time. They enrolled participants all over 75 and asked them to record their usual sleep position, and then they followed them vigilantly for years. The team found that those who consistently slept with their head turned sharply to one side, neck twisted in that direction for hours through the night, had a significantly higher risk of stroke compared to those who slept with their head neutral or face up or even gently turned. The difference was not subtle. Stroke risk in that group was markedly elevated. I feel a knot in my stomach just saying it. Let me share what the numbers said, though I must spell them out. The study reported that older adults, sleeping with the head turned sharply to one side, had a risk increase of 30% more strokes. And that was after adjusting for all the usual suspects like high blood pressure and diabetes and atrial fibrillation. When the data were analyzed, the association held firm. I want you to picture that for a moment. You lay your head to rest in what feels familiar, comfortable perhaps leaning to one side all your life. It feels harmless. But unbeknownst to you, your neck position could be constricting vessels, impairing blood flow, or causing subtle changes in how the brain perceives blood pressure. That small thing that feels natural could be swinging the pendulum toward danger. The researchers speculated that holding the neck in one fixed rotated position for hours could affect vertebral arteries that pass through your cervical spine. In your younger years, your vessels may have expanded and accommodated, but as the years accumulate, artery walls stiffen. Tiny irregularities build up. A prolonged, awkward turn constricts flow just enough to matter. Over the course of hours, your brain may go without optimal blood supply, just long enough to set off a chain reaction. I felt the weight of that theory in every bone in my body. It resonates with everything I have seen in neurology practice and how delicate balance can tip into harm. I recall one patient named Mrs. Rao. She came in frightened after a minor stroke. She described going to bed feeling fine and waking with a slurred word and numbness on her left side. She told me she habitually slept propped on her right side with her head turned that way. My heart sank. I remember explaining gently that I suspected her neck position may have played a role. We adjusted her bedding, advised her to favor face-up posture, or at least keep her head in line with her spine. Over months, she had no further events. It may not prove causation, but it broke my heart to think of the vulnerable spots in our ephemerality. I tell you that because you deserve to know. Another cohort study tracked people over 5 years. They analyzed sleep position via cameras or sensors. They categorized positions as face-up supine face-down prone and side-lying left or right. They then compared incidence of ischemic stroke among seniors. What emerged was that side-lying with head sharply turned was associated with a 10% increased odds of stroke compared to other positions. That may sound smaller, but for a community of seniors, it can mean dozens or hundreds more devastating events. The scientists urged cautious interpretation, but recommended further exploration. That counsel echoed in my chest. We owe it to our elders to pursue truth so they can sleep safely. Now I speak to you, not with clinical detachment. I speak with warmth and urgency. I have seen lives interrupted. I think of grandchildren waiting for grandmothers to tell stories. I think of husbands and wives holding hands in dawn light. I think of you closing your eyes and hoping for peace. This detail about neck position is not trivial. I wish it were not real, but it is. And the studies add weight. In addition to observational data, some imaging research used ultrasound to observe blood flow in the vertebral arteries while subjects turned their heads. The flow decreased significantly when the head rotated beyond a certain angle. That physical demonstration of diminished perfusion pounded like a drum in my mind. When I saw that flow metrics dropped by 15% with neck rotation, I felt I had to speak up. I want you to feel this urgency, but I also want to soothe the fear. What can you do? You can train yourself gently to avoid that extreme head turn. You can prop pillows in ways that keep your head and neck aligned. Imagine cradling your head in a pillow that encourages the midline posture. You can try sleeping on your back with a small supportive pillow that holds your neck neutral. Humans announce new habits with effort. I know it is not always comfortable to change entrenched positions, but imagine that small change preserving your brain function. Imagine waking without worry. That is the love I have for you, in my words. Let me walk you through it. You lie down, you feel the pillow beneath your head. Instead of swerving to one side, you place your head center. A gentle pillow fills the hollow of the neck. You close your eyes. You drift into dreams. You rest. Overnight, your vertebral arteries graciously deliver blood without interruption. You wake. You stretch. You smile. You are safe. It is that simple, but powerful. I also urge you to talk to your loved ones or caregivers. Ask them if they notice you sleeping sharply turned. I promise they will want to help. Family can place an extra supportive roll or bolster to stop the neck from twisting under covers. And if you wake with any fleeting numbness, confusion imbalance, or slurred speech, do not brush it off. Seek urgent help. Every moment matters. Stroke treatment works better the sooner it starts, and prevention works by removing hidden risks like sleep posture. I must acknowledge that not every case of stroke is prevented by sleeping differently. Many strokes come from high blood pressure, uncontrolled, or atrial fibrillation, or cholesterol, or diabetes. You should work with your physician on those. But posture is another tool in the prevention toolkit. A study in older adults found that side lying with extreme head turn remained a risk factor, even after adjusting for blood pressure and diabetes. That tells me it stands on its own as a modifiable factor. That gives us hope. I think of each of you reading this as a person whose life story is winding still forward. I feel your heartbeat as I write. I feel your desire for clarity. I hope you feel the weight of my voice. I hope you sense the care. I wish I did not have to share a worry, but knowledge is a light in darkness. Knowledge can set you free. I wish you rest that is serene and safe. I wish you dawns full of clarity and strength. In closing, I hold you in my thoughts. You are not a case number. You're not just a statistic. You are someone whose mind matters. Sleep in a way that honors your brain. Keep your head aligned. Let your breath carry ease. Let your blood flow calmly through gentler angles. Let the night be a sanctuary, not a threat. And may you wake into days rich with memory and presence and peace. That I promise as a doctor and as someone who deeply believes in the worth of every senior's mind. I want to speak to you as a friend and as a doctor who has spent years looking at how the body and brain rest during sleep. You may think that once you close your eyes and drift off, your body takes care of itself without much influence from position, but science has shown that the way you lie in bed matters more than you might imagine. The debate between sleeping on your back and sleeping on your side is not about comfort alone. It is about how your heart, lungs, and brain are treated through the night. Researchers have studied this question for decades. One large study, published in a respected sleep medicine journal, followed older adults and monitored their positions through the night using infrared cameras. They found that those who slept primarily on their backs had a higher frequency of breathing interruptions compared to those who slept on their sides. These interruptions, known as apneas, lower oxygen levels and put strain on the cardiovascular system. Over time, that can mean a greater risk of heart disease, stroke, and cognitive decline. Another study measured airway size and found that lying on the back allows the tongue and soft tissues to fall toward the throat, narrowing the airway. For someone with even mild sleep apnea, this can make symptoms worse. On the other hand, sleeping on your side, particularly the left side, can help keep the airway open and reduce these interruptions. In fact, research using MRI imaging showed that side sleeping improved cerebrospinal fluid clearance in the brain. This clearance process is part of how the brain removes waste and harmful proteins during the night. Scientists believe this could be one reason why side sleeping is associated with a lower risk of neurodegenerative disease. For seniors, this is an important point. Your brain's nightly cleaning crew works more efficiently when you are on your side. That said, not everyone tolerates side sleeping well. Some people experience shoulder or hip discomfort. If you must sleep on your back, using a supportive pillow under your head and another beneath your knees can reduce airway collapse and protect the spine. What matters most is finding a position that supports oxygen flow and protects circulation. Sleep is not just rest. It is nightly maintenance for your heart, brain, and every cell in your body. Choosing the right position can mean waking up clearer, stronger, and more protected against the silent risks that can build over the years.